Ladies and gentlemen, I know what you're thinking. I wish I could carry firearms that weren't legally registered as firearms. I wish there were a way I could shoot things without having to go through the whole red tape process of purchasing actual guns. Well, lucky for you, our sponsor, Railed Associates, has just a solution. Railed Associates has the finest collection of railguns and coil guns on the commercial market. If you're at all interested in projectile weapons, you have to try out Railed Associates. Drop a comment below with the hashtag GetRailed for your chance to win 50% off of your very own railgun or coil gun. Now let's get back to the show. First of all, welcome to Facts and Smiles.
I'm Max.
And I'm Miles. Sit back and relax for a while.
Grab your favorite snacks while you're at it. Yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah, let's get right into the hedonism and infants, or infantile temptation.
Okay, so we're on Moses 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chapter 8.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, the worship of the golden calf.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting. I've never heard that described as like the ancient embodiment of materialism, worshiping the golden calf.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, how does it describe that? So because it's gold, which is the worship of money, and the calf. What do you say? It's the
prosperity, some sort
yeah. Oh yeah.
Delicious.
To worship the golden calf is to succumb to something approximating the love of money, materialistic gratification. Yeah, he says there's very little difference between the worship of materialistic gratification and the possession by impulsive and destructive whim, which I think makes a lot of sense, because if you're targeting instant gratification, if that becomes your god, then impulses become your god. So as soon as you feel impulses, you're going to do it, and your whims and your impulses aren't going to leave you in a linear trajectory towards some stable long-term goal. It's going to be very scattered, very chaotic, and society can't rest on chaos. Obviously, that's what we've learned, right? There's a balance between chaos and order, but if it's just about impulses, there's no defined unity. It's just, whichever way I feel, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like up is one direction, but down is all the other directions.
Right. Then, yeah, so their decadence is a threat to their survival. He doesn't, I don't think, he doesn't really touch on why they're so quickly because I'm always so fascinated as to how soon they're able just to be, you know what, yeah, let's worship something material, let's worship a golden calf. It's just out of the blue, it's so sudden. There's no, and Aaron's just, he's too afraid to stand up for truth, he just succumbs to the mob. But it's really fascinating, the fact that it just goes so quickly from it. It's complete 180, just out of nowhere. He doesn't really touch on that.
I might be mixing this up, but I think he talks about like how when you're in like the slave mindset, it's not like you can just be set free and just all of a sudden have a freedom mindset, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It's like it's actually really hard work to have a free society.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this in like, it's a good example, like Weimar Germany,
mm-hmm.
where it's this really strange period in between World War I and II, where Germany becomes this like really like libertine, like left wing, like kind of just like summer of love type,
mm-hmm.
Sexual revolution,
right?
Like just everything goes like super far towards the marginal left, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
In between these two periods of like right wing authoritarianism,
right?
It's like how do we get this total 180. And it's like, well, when you don't have like a stable guiding principle that you're aiming towards, your culture is like getting these culture shocks from like starting and losing wars.
Right.
Then it kind of makes sense that you're gonna have these like jerky transitions between phases. Right. You don't have this like smooth, controlled, like a reasonable, like rational approach to society building.
Right. Because it makes sense to me when they're initially out of slavery and they continue to bicker and complain and moan weren't things great back then? Mm-hmm. Because there was clearly defined rules, right? And they didn't have to really use their own will. They didn't have to aim up. Everything was given to them on what they had to do. They surrendered their freedom, their responsibility, and taking on responsibility is a hard thing. What's strange about this passage is the fact that it's not just them complaining; it's them completely turning everything around and just we're just going to do something different. It's so strange. It's so strange.
Moses is gone for 4 days.
Yeah.
The God of Moses hasn't talked to us in, a week. Let's make idols again. That's just.
And even though it doesn't make sense, when you say it like that, it kind of makes sense, right? It's like what you were talking about. But they don't have an anchor or guiding principle. So with their literal anchor, right? Not literal, with their anchors gone, Moses is God. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. We need something. Okay, we'll just do this. It's still strange. It's still very strange.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting how much Aaron gets blamed for the going astray at the beginning.
Well, he talks about, we'll touch on this later, but at the very end of this chapter, he talks about Moses being, when he strikes the rock instead of speaking, like God tells him to, and then he's prohibited from seeing the promised land. He talks about how it's almost along the lines of with great power comes great responsibility, right? When you are the one who's aiming up, you really should know better. When you have picked your cross and walked uphill, it's almost more shameful for you to be the one to all of a sudden throw off your cross and say, I'm done, and something's at the very bottom. It hasn't even done yet, right? So I think, it's interesting. It's, on the one hand, Aaron, you might say, gets punished too much, but on the other hand, even though it sounds cliche, he should have known better. He should have been the one. He and Moses are supposed to be the ones who have, quote unquote, like the light of truth, and the Israelites are still kind of wandering around in the darkness. They're the ones who are supposed to, be the example to follow. And it's kind of, you can think about it if you have a parent with their kids. If a kid goes around slapping up little kids across the head, and then the parent joins them, we're probably going to get more mad at the parent than the kid, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of, that's the kind of analogy.
Yeah, like to whom much is given, much is tested.
Exactly.
And part of me is like the libertarian, the like anarcho-libertarian in me wants to say that like each person is just responsible for themselves. Mm. But like there's almost like it almost feels like blaming Aaron so much almost lets people off the hook a little bit. But sure. I don't think that's what happens. Mm-hmm. It's like the people are all blamed, but like they're all blamed for their own sins. But Aaron is also blamed for each of their sins because he was responsible at the time.
Right. And some of them are killed too. Aaron's not killed.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a balancing act. Yeah. It's people who would pursue heathenism can't make sacrifices, and societies are built on sacrifice. So they're going to what's the word? Succumb. And then we have Moses trying to reestablish the covenant with God. God agrees. We get Moses' experience with God. And then, Oh, yeah, okay. He has this interesting part where he brings up Dawkins, and Dawkins has this quote about page 411, where there's this idea that there's a God-shaped gap in our brain, and Dawkins says, what if it's not God that's supposed to fill it? What if we fill it with humanism, or love of the universe, or love of biology, or science, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And Peterson claps him on the side of the head and says, you idiot. I think he's spot on here, that what do we fill it with? And what likely happens is we get things like communism, Marquis de Sade, Nazism, the whole 9 yards. And then he goes, whenever I will say it, I miss Patrick Peterson. I miss him. He's gone too soon. Rest in peace. It was a good man. But current Peterson, when he gets in on what is it called, biophilia, when he gets in on the earth worshippers, he cooks. And he does it right here. And he talks about how the worship of Baal, the god of nature, they sacrifice kids to it. And you might think, oh, well, that's not going to happen in today's age. But he says, well, think about it. I mean, how often do we hear the planet has too many people on it? Mm-hmm. And he says that's a genocidal statement. Yeah. Like, who's supposed to go then? Just the poor people, the useless people? That statement's atrocious. The planet has too many people on it, and it also degrades human life. Mm-hmm. To say that, the planet has too many people on it is to say the planet and greenery is more important than human beings, and that's absurd.
Yeah. And it's like how many abortions have been justified?
Exactly.
Right. Well, I can't bring a child into this world.
Exactly.
So you're gonna kill it.
Yep.
It's a great plan. Mm-hmm. Later on, he even says something like human life is just put higher than nature. Like mm-hmm. That's the only way to orient. The only way to orient your human psyche.
Yes.
That doesn't end up with catastrophe.
Yeah.
And that means not just that people inject nature should be subdued and should serve humans. It means that a single human life is more valuable than any amount of whatever in nature.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. In Jonah, he talks about the plant that grows and withers, and Jonah's also makes a really good point that often the worship of earth or biophilia, whatever you want to call it, is really just an excuse for pride. It's casting judgment on other people. Like, people are just so terrible. People are awful scum. And the poor animals, the poor earth, right? The sacred space. It's elevating yourself to the status of a god, casting judgment on other people, talking about how terrible they are and how innocent the earth is. But really, what it's doing is just elevating your own status. People, they're just filth. They're just so terrible. But I know what's good. The planet needs to be protected. Yeah. It's self-serving narcissism.
It's a very easy way to break your signal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he encounters God.
So there's this interesting idea, we kind of skipped over it, but I don't know where he brings it up. But if my notes say, is repentance enough? Like the people, Moses comes back and the people go, shoot, we shouldn't have done this. This was our bad. But it's not like they just get off the hook because they're presumably genuinely repentant. It's yes, repentance is necessary, but you're still in the hole you dug.
Yeah.
It's you don't maybe God's wrath is no longer kindled against you, but you're still just below where you were before. You have to just dig your way out of the hole somehow.
Yeah, he makes the point that even when you're forgiven, the effects of your sin still remain. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the presence of that sin might inhibit a greater flourishing. It might inhibit a flourishing that couldn't be imagined, right? So if you hadn't committed that sin in the first place, basically let's say maximum level flourishing is right here. Every time you sin, you're taking down the maximum a little bit, right? And it's more work to get there than it would have been if you just stayed the course. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a secular idea that you need to kind of balance the good things and the bad things. You can have a little bit, you need to let off some steam every once in a while. And I think Peterson's holding the line at the, no, actually, sinning is never worth it. Mm-hmm. You never get closer to your goal by whatever, letting yourself off the hook.
The ends don't justify the means.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
And the ends don't. It's not just that the ends don't justify the means, it's that the ends never, good ends never follow from bad means.
Yeah. Yeah. And so on that note, too, he touches on how he brings up the point that Jesus in the gospel says, think not that I've come to abolish the law, I have come to fulfill every last jot. And the idea is that, oh, you think that the old law, the covenant is so terrible, awful, and whatever. It's like, no, Jesus is going to fulfill everything. Everything's going to be it. So in other words,
every jot and tittle.
Yeah, exactly.
Every yacht, I think.
Every iota. Even if, no matter how infinitesimal it may be, on the quantum level. Where was I going? Yeah, nothing done for ill vanishes of its own accord, he says. Right, so there's always going to be a reckoning, basically, for your sins.
Mm-hmm.
He touches on Moses' face changing, again, the reflection of the idea that to behold perfection or to be close to perfection is to cleave what's impious from yourself. And the more impious or evil or broken you are, the more shattered you'll be by encounter with the perfect ideal, right? Which is why you can't see God's face, because that's why you will die if you see God, because you're so imperfect to encounter that perfection. Would be too, yeah. You're so broken, you can't handle it. You can't handle that experience. Moses, even though he's such a good person, he's only allowed to see quote unquote back of God, which is anthropomorphization.
There we go.
Yeah, almost that stroke again. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like to come face to face with what is truly holy, as Peterson said, the spirit that something or other, is to burn away the part of you that is not up to its standard. And
exactly.
For you or I or anyone who's even looking up enough or aiming up as much as Moses, it still burns away so much of you that there's nothing left.
Yeah. It says every ideal is also a judge.
That's a banger line.
And every deviation from the ideal makes the inevitable judgment harsher. Yeah. Which is why I think today, this is why there's such a big culture of it. Fat is beautiful, and don't body shame and all this stuff, because the ideal of beauty is also a judge. It reflects poorly on people who are ugly, right? Or in the same way that good virtues reflect poorly on people who are vicious, right? Any ideal is also a judge. People don't like to be judged, so they try to tear down the ideal instead of reckoning with the problem within themselves.
Yeah, it's just Cain all over again.
Exactly, yeah.
He ties back into Abraham here when talking about the establishing of a dynasty. He kind of drives home the point that like the establishment of a dynasty and the story of Abraham, they're like one and the same. Like if you want to establish a dynasty, you just act like Abraham was. Like that's what that does. It establishes a dynasty. I thought that was cool.
Have an adventure, yeah. And then he gets into what? Abraham already. And he goes, yeah. Social order. He doesn't work. Aim up. I love Peterson, but especially Noah. But in this chapter 2 a little bit, he can kind of be repetitive. Numbers, sacrifice.
The rape of 10 king.
The what?
The rape of 10 king.
Of who?
Nanking, the city in China. Did you skip over this part?
Wait. Oh, the Japanese. Oh yeah, that was insane.
That's the bottomless pit.
Yeah.
The hell is.
That was insane, and that's why too. There's so many. Like I say, there's so many arguments for the existence of God. Some of them are concrete, or not concrete. Some of them are more logical and argumentative based, and others of them are more intuitive. This is an intuitive argument for God's existence. The fact that there can be such evil. You can't tell me that what's described here is just the result of chemicals, and that the feeling that we encounter reading this is just chemicals. There's a spiritual reality at work here, and the existence of great evil proves the existence of a greater good, which proves God. So it is kind of one of those things. I mean, yeah, this kind of thing. Have you read The Devil and Karl Marx.
No, I think I started the podcast.
Oh, with Peterson?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Also, the stuff, when I read this, I was reminded of it, the stuff in that book is absolutely heinous. And when you actually figure out the kind of person, so obviously his philosophy led to atrocities, but the kind of person he was himself.
It's like no wonder.
Yeah, exactly. The spiritual reality is it's impressive, and it manifests itself in certain people, and I think in everybody, but especially in great evil. That kind of thing can't happen if we're just animals, or if we're just machines, right? Yeah. We get the spying the land of Canaan, and he goes into this thing about how is it just for the Israelites to kick out the Canaanites of their land, and he says that again, I love Peterson, but he takes the route of, well, when two societies encounter one another, one that aims up will obviously be victorious over the one that is debaucherous, because one of them is stable, one of them is not, and so boom. And again, I think that philosophy is not wrong, it's right, but it kind of circumvents the question of, because I think he even says that to say that, oh well, God commanded it is a cop out, and that's a fair argument for sure.
Yeah.
But I think which is ironic from him, but that's how you deal with the question of is God a person? No, that's spirit, that please. So, but anyway, yeah, I think it kind of circumvents the question. I think it's more interesting to talk about the Israelites and the Canaanites and the Hebrew God. What's going on here? Not just societies that aim up.
Yeah, it's just an archetype.
Right.
Story.
Exactly.
It's not really describing.
Right.
It just tells you what happens.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. It's like I've kind of been playing around with this idea that like killing people, obviously like when avoidable, not preferable, but killing like cultures and societies. Like killing off Nazi culture or imperialist Japan, like those were like societies that should be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like it was a good thing that we killed them off, even though each individual loss of human life was a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's like, and in some sense, like I think the Old Testament kind of has these like, in some sense, it's telling you how to like build a nation, but that nation is not just literally children of Abraham. It's also foreigners. It describes, like the Pentateuch describes how to induct a foreigner and like make a foreigner into a Hebrew, right? And so it's like there are like good ways and bad ways to go about integrating people into your society. You have to do it you have to make sure you're fully assimilating them, right? Like you can't marry a Canaanite woman because they're naggy and eventually they'll wear you down. Right. But you can, I don't know, as long as the men get circumcised or the boys are young enough or whatever. I can't remember the Leviticus.
Yeah.
But there are actually ways where and Peterson talks about a lot. He highlights the passages where they're like, always be friendly and show hospitality to the stranger. For you were strangers in Egypt.
Yeah.
And it's like a very important part of the culture that's like described in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
So it's not just fire and brimstone for the Canaanites.
Right.
There's a path for redemption. It's just that almost none of them want it, and that's why that's why they should be.
And I think if we deal with the story at hand instead of considering the archetypes, the answer is, even though it's an uncomfortable answer perhaps, the answer has to be it's just because God commanded it, and leave it at that.
Ultimately, it always can come back.
Exactly, because I think I would say, well, they're so entrenched in sin that this argument sounds grating to the modern ear, but they're so entrenched in sin that perhaps that is the best thing that can happen to them. Maybe some of them would actually be saved by being killed. And that sounds atrocious. And I admit that, like, you don't want to be using the argument today because God doesn't speak to us like that anymore, right? God, the God of the Old Testament and the New Testament are the same God, but in the Old Testament, God does interact with people more directly. That's just the way it is. If we're supposed to take these stories somewhat literally, and that doesn't happen nowadays, we don't get direct encounters with God like that. So
I don't know. I think we might.
Well,
you don't think anywhere in the world?
Not in the sense that there's no analogous situation to God directly speaking to a human being who is then speaking to a multitude of human beings and they're following him because they're following the words of that God. There's no analogous situation for that. I'm sure people can have encounters with God.
We don't have like theocracies like we did.
No, we don't.
At least none that are following God.
I think God recedes from the
politics.
He recedes from the what's the word?
The limelight.
Sure, that sounds weird.
Okay,
but he recedes from view, perhaps is what I'll say. He recedes from view the more time goes on. In that, as time goes, God recedes in so much as we are given more knowledge, more responsibility. And by the time of Christ, we've been given the fullness of revelation, everything we need to know, everything, and the ultimate grace of salvation. And again, great power comes great responsibility. And God loves us and wants us to take responsibility for our lives. And I think now that we have that, there's less need for God to be in direct contact with people, saying, here's what you need to do, X, Y, Z, yada, yada. We have everything now. God's obviously still a person interacting with us, but he's not leading groups of people in a pillar of cloud anymore.
Yeah, I think it just looks differently. Because like the Old Testament covenant and the New Testament covenant look different. Like now we have the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And like the veil is torn.
Right.
And in some sense we have the ability to like each on an individual level be closer to God because of Jesus' sacrifice. But on the other side, I agree that we don't get the same. The New Testament looks a lot different than the Old Testament. So here's this interesting musing about sin leading to death. And as Christians, we believe that like actually sin, like there wasn't death in the world, and then Adam and Eve sinned, and it brought death into the world.
Right.
But he goes, well, life expectancy has gone up. It's actually gone down a little bit recently, but it was going up in proportion to how effective our scientific advancements were.
Right.
And as we've already established, your scientific advances are only going to be effective insofar as you have a proper upbringing, right, and a proper amount of humility. And I mean, maybe the fact that our life expectancy has been going down a little bit recently is a good sign that we're kind of falling off. We've been living on the whale carcass for too long, and it's finally catching up to us. But there's this critical rationalist idea that all problems are solvable, and I think that's right. Like any problem, like human beings have the required capabilities to generate the knowledge required for any problem that can be conceived. But it's also constrained by like how moral the structure of your society is. Because if you don't have trust in a post Soviet Russia or during Soviet Russia, I guess, like your society is not going to be functioning effectively,
right? And
you're not like Soviet rockets, like literally like rockets from the Cold War Soviet Russia were still responsible for taking astronauts to the International Space Station and back, up until like SpaceX, like very recently.
Yeah.
And it's like that's a whale carcass that like you are like you are just like really sucking on the bones. You're just, like, sucking the marrow out.
Right.
You're licking your fingertips just to
Mhm.
like try to get. I mean, that's like really, we're getting to dregs at this point
Yes.
of that culture. And it's like, yeah, like Russia has like a very, very low trust society.
Yeah.
Compare that to, industrial Japan, where they have an incredibly high trust society. They like their comeback after World War II, after being completely demolished,
Yeah.
was insanely fast.
Yeah.
And
too fast.
Too fast?
Go ahead.
Yeah. To the point where now we study their manufacturing systems.
Yeah.
Which.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice argument here, but I don't really see where he's going with it.
Or
like the wages of sin is death.
Oh, like maybe he's saying like, look how our morality
makes a better society.
Well, yeah, and leads to pushing off death. And obviously, as an individual, there are things you can do to extend your life. He says that too.
Yeah.
He's like, what if we all aimed upwards,
right?
And we all chose to just seek the highest good, always humbly.
Right.
Maybe this trend would continue and we just would never die.
Yes.
It's kind of the idea he's putting out. It's not literally true. But
also too, I think about sometimes the best lived lives are the ones that are the shortest. So sometimes, like
just partying, drugs.
No. What I mean is like so many. At least as a Catholic, I believe in saints, right? That saints exist, and saints.
Yeah,
that's not a
saints.
It's not a controversial thing to believe because people who are
baseball team
and crazy. Saint Paul too, but
the city.
Well, the person, but so many.
Saint Cloud. St. Cloud the person.
That's a great. I've been wondering who the heck is St. Cloud? Never heard of it. It's so random. But
Muslim saint.
Oh yeah, crazy.
Alright, keep going. I'll stop.
But there are so many amazing saints throughout history who died very young. Some of them, didn't even make
Joan of Arc.
Yeah, some of them didn't even make it to their 20s. Like it's the holiest people, and I just. I don't think the goodness of your life is measured by its longevity at all. And I don't think that how you live your life, I don't think that by aiming up or aiming down, I don't think there's a one-to-one correspondence between how that affects your death. Okay. And you can think about martyrdom too. Plenty of people that were martyred and very young.
Definitely not one-to-one. But I do think.
And think about all these creeps in Hollywood who are freaking 70, 80.
How's George Soros still alive?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, Ozzy Osbourne just died 2 days ago.
Right. I did, yeah.
Bro, he looked dead for the last 15 years.
Yes.
Right? Like,
exactly.
he's not.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's funny how all these people who worship Satan seem to live really long. I don't. So what I'm saying is like, they call it deal with the devil, right? Mm-hmm. For a reason. So I'm not saying that.
I think these are outliers.
I'm not saying. No. What I'm saying is like. My point is, okay, we have people who die young and are really good people who die really old and are terrible people, and then we have the reverse of that too. I don't think that how you live your life morally affects your age at which you die.
Okay, but obviously there are outliers. There are people who it's completely not related. Mm-hmm. But I think in general, for the vast majority of people, like if you're aiming upwards, you're whatever that looks like working hard at your job, probably going to the gym enough, you're going to have a better life expectancy than someone who does not aim upwards, who stays in their room and plays video games all day.
But there are also people who do all the right things and get cancer when they're in their 30s.
Yes, but people more often get cancer in their 30s when they've been doing all the wrong things.
Sure. I guess this probably is a very meaningful argument in the long run. I'm just saying that this passage is kind of like, yeah, okay, cool, dude. But
he literally earlier on was like, yeah, my sister did get lucky. She didn't get hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah.
There's so many factors at play. and only God knows when our time's coming.
Which is why his argument here doesn't make sense. But it is, if you view it as like an echo, or like a very soft callback to the Garden of Eden, then I think you can glean something from it. You can say like, oh, that's kind of cool. But like this idea that the wages of sin are death, because if you like, if you're, you know, if you like hold down a stable job and get married, your life expectancy is longer than if you eat Cheetos and play video games all day. It's a bit of a stretch.
And the spies come back and they're all, luckily our boy Caleb is calming down people. Stay hard, people. Like, or stay chill.
You miss out because you are not hearing Jordan Peterson narrate it, which is really why you should listen to the audiobook instead of reading it, which is why it's actually better. But he calls Caleb like Caleb. He like very like Hebrewizes his name somehow. Like as if there's an apostrophe in there.
Caleb.
Or like Caleb. I think it's Caleb. I think he like
crazy.
Which is, I mean, come on. We're trying to do right now.
Yeah, it would really
come on. He's been listening to Veg Hero too much.
Yeah.
Dennis Prager.
Yeah, funny how that works, isn't it? Yeah, Pastor Peterson's gone.
I may be circumcised now too.
The yarmulke's just hiding behind his head. Yeah. Anyway,
So the fringe into his suit.
He went hard on the fringe. Like he loved that. He was like, "Whoa, it's amazing." Everything I've been saying.
He used the word.
Yeah, right. But yeah, he read into that deep. Anyway, he talks about how when they come back, they're all aside from Caleb and Joshua, the people went to spy the land are basically saying, "Yeah, we're done. We're cooked. It's all over." And he talks about how this is yet again a failure in trust and faith in God. That he's given them everything, he's been through them everything, and they're still doubting him. They're still not believing in him. Which,
as we read the story, seems ridiculous to us. It's like you just parted the waters, like not that long ago.
Right.
Just so that you could walk through on dry land.
Right.
And you're doubting that you can win a battle.
Yep.
And they even realize a little bit later on, they're like, shoot, that was so dumb. Why did we think that?
Exactly.
And they get a little bit too, a bit too excited and try to go fight the Amalekites.
Yep. And then they get cooked.
They do get cooked. Which is interesting, it's like, they're in the hole they dug, going, and they've got aspirations for, like, they could have beat the Amalekites if they listened to what Moses told them. But instead they dug themselves into this hole. And now Moses is like, hold on, you've got work to do. You can't go ask her out right now. She's going to reject you because you're a loser.
Yeah.
But no, instead of going to the gym and, reading philosophy, they just send it.
And so he also talks about how likely what these people are trying to do is what was possessing them, to use his language, is a tyrannical spirit. And he talks about how the greatest tyrants have a two-step process, and it starts with demoralization and then seduction. And demoralizing, because if we can demoralize you and make you think things are pointless, things are over, you'll be more
seductive with my two-step.
Yeah,
keep going.
Nice.
That took me. Nice. Yeah, I was cooking that for a while.
Yeah, I could tell the brain was going. But anyway, once you're demoralized and you figure that everything's pointless, it's hopeless, I'm scared, I need protection, what am I going to do? You cast off responsibility, and then the tyrant says, he gives you something to seduce you with, like, look, if you just hang out in your room and play video games and watch some porn, I'll take care of everything and protect you. But basically, once you're in that state, you're more susceptible to the molding of the tyrant. Like, you become very malleable because you've given up responsibility, you're weak, you're ineffective, and you're just, please take care of everything for me. And so when these people come back, he uses to say, maybe this is why we should be wary of people who are always proclaiming, oh, the apocalypse is nigh, sky's falling. Well, why are you telling me that? Why, instead of trying to target whatever possible dangers loom with hopefulness, with courage, with forthrightness, why instead are you proclaiming that all is lost? Beware of people who proclaim all is lost, because they're probably out to get something.
This is why the weak men are so terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like,
Plague, military defeat.
Rebellion of Korra. This is a big one.
Where is it?
I don't know.
I think it's Sparta. Is it after Greece? Is it after
Probably.
French? I think it is. Yep, it is.
Perhaps.
438.
Yeah, Fringe. We don't have to get into it again.
Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
All right. Very fringy. So, Rebellion of Korra. I've heard this reference so many times that when you got to it in the story, I was like, let's go. What have they been?
I've actually never heard it.
Seriously?
Yeah. No.
Dude, there's like a psalm that we just read. I think it's like 91 or 2, where it's like, destroy my enemies like you destroyed the Rebellion of Korra.
Wow.
And it's like, what is this reference to? And I read this like twice recently, and I forgot it. But Peterson's read of it is basically, it's this like disingenuous egalitarianism.
Yes.
Which is a banger phrase. That's old Peterson back. I forgive him for everything.
I don't forgive him, but yeah.
No, but I mean, really, it's like Korra and his lackeys all go like, hey, what's so special about you, Moses?
Yeah.
Aren't we all God's chosen people?
Right.
And Moses has like a rap battle with him, I think, and then the ground swallows him up. That's how it happens. And it came to pass, as he made an end of rapping, all these words, that the ground clave asunder. Clave asunder. That was under him. I'm not a huge fan of all of this like old New King James. Old King James.
Just pick a lane, buddy. Like either do super modern or do super old.
He uses like 15 different translations.
You know,
it almost makes me a bit suspicious. It's like, are you just picking a translation or are you like cherry picking translations for one that fit? I don't know. But sometimes he'll drop like 5 in a row. It's kind of cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's where we get this from.
The modern ones are the most fun.
Yeah. I would rather go too old fashioned than too modern.
Yeah,
but it
sounds so weird.
When you go like "an" in front of like a word like human that starts with an H, that's like a consonant H, not a silent H. That's when it gets to me. That's when it's too far. You can't say "an human."
Yeah.
Right. That's like the British like "an human." But no. And they perish from among the congregation.
So the point is that it's kind of like philosopher king, right? That the good man gets to rule, the good man should rule, and people who are envious and lesser will strive to throw slings and arrows and mud at the person who's the good man. He says that Moses, being a good man, he confronts the situation forthrightly. He doesn't shy away from anything, right? He's able to take their accusations head on because he knows. That's what he says. First of all, he says the good man, can stand without shame in the face of the mob and stare them down. This capacity for unself-consciousness lends him credence and charisma as a leader. Because you have nothing to hide, because you know, it's like humility. You know your place before God. You know how lowly you are. You know the truth about yourself. And so you're able to encounter pretty much anything. People can say anything they want about you. You know the truth about yourself. And because you're unself-conscious, you're able to confront that conflict head on.
Yeah, like Moses didn't get his position by like schmoozing people.
Right.
He was divinely appointed by God. He's this meme right here. Yes, you all are wrong.
Yep.
Nice. I'll drop it in the show notes. And that's the confidence that comes from actually doing your due diligence.
Right.
Showing the requisite humility.
Exactly. Then he talks about how, that when the marginal tries to be the center, what collapses isn't necessarily the center, but the margin. And he talks about how you can think about how if you raise a kid with all the creature comforts, never let him go, coddle him, never let him see any challenge or suffering, he'll be worse off than if you actually thrust him out to the world and said, take on the snakes, deal with the suffering, and become independent and a better man for it. That when you try to make when you have this false empathy like he has, he tries to embrace the margin. You actually end up hurting the margin more than you would if you just let them face the ideal or embrace the ideal that is the center.
Right? Yeah, the center embracing the margin is exactly what happens with the seven-headed, 10-horned beast in Revelation with the whore of Babylon riding, right? What? Where it's like a perfect picture of like multinational corporations and their like LGBTQ plus societies.
Yeah.
It's like we have. I can't wait for like 10 years down the line for us to look back on how ridiculous this is, and by us I mean other people who were swept up in it.
Yep.
Because like us right now, we can look over at like right now has an LGBTQ plus ally, like a support group or something. Yeah. That's like part of work. It's like we're talking. Don't even get me started on like the depravity and debauchery that is the alphabet sexualities.
Yeah, right.
It's like we're talking about sex at work. Like what? How have we? Yeah, how did we get here? Like it's
insane.
It's but that's just like it's the peak of what happens when the beast, like the structure, I almost want to say patriarch, but it's not very patriarchal anymore. But it embraces this fringe of sexual revolution. We're allies.
It's quite. I think this quite literally in their slogan, "All are welcome here." It's embracing everyone.
All of them.
Yeah, it's embracing everyone, right? Bring the what should be put to what should like. I don't think of this a lot. The idea that there's shame is increasingly being erased from society and our culture. Mm-hmm. The idea that there are certain things we should be ashamed of. There are certain ways of acting that we should feel shame for acting that way. But we don't want to deal with that. It's no, everything's acceptable. Praise everything. Everyone's great. No, love everyone. All are welcome here. We don't judge. Everything about that. That goes back to the ideal as a judge. I think a good center, a good ideal should have a corresponding element of shame to it when you deviate from it too much, right? There should be a sense of regret and embarrassment for acting against the ideal.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not ideal if it doesn't fill you with like a little bit of shame at least.
Yeah. So now we get to Moses using his staff to strike the rock and bring forth water, rather than using his words. Getting started thinking about it. And this is interesting. He says that I had typically thought of this whole passage as a critique of Moses not explicitly following God's command, right? God tells him, speak and the water will flow. Mm-hmm. And he uses the staff to strike it. And in the past, I always thought, the reason Moses is punished is because he goes against God's explicit command, right? He goes his own way. But what Peterson brings out that I think is insightful is that it's not just that he goes against what God says, it's that quite literally he uses force and compulsion rather than the invitation of speech. And that's the problem. It's the problem that shows that he has tyrannical tendencies, right? And that's what makes God punish him and says, okay, enough is enough. You're not going to see it, the promised land.
Yeah.
And it goes back again to what we talked about earlier, how with great power comes great responsibility, that Moses of all people should know better than to ever use force, that he of all people should know that he is consistently called to always aim up and to be a generous and productive ruler rather than a compulsive tyrannical tyrant.
And I think he doesn't talk about this, but like it's not just that Moses has a proclivity towards tyranny and he's in charge of the people, but he's in charge of the people who have a proclivity towards slavery.
Yeah.
So it's like the most
tantalizing.
tantalizing.
Right.
Yeah. They're right there for it.
Right.
And he also talks about, and this is something that came out of the Exodus seminar, actually. But it's not just that Moses strikes the rock. It's that there's also an element of the first time Moses draws water out of the rock. He says something like God provides for you here.
Oh,
and the second time, he says look what Aaron and I can do for you.
Right.
Which is I don't know, careful you don't bite the hand that feeds you. Saw off the branch that you're sitting on. Don't forget where your power comes from. Yeah, which is funny, right after the rebellion of Korah.
Yeah, right.
So there's something ironic.
Right. Yeah, the goal should be to avoid establishing tyranny. Yeah. Oh yeah, he gets him on 445. He does a little. Who could possibly have written the Bible? It's just so insane how this happened.
I know, right?
Just it's
really smart shaman.
Yeah, it's insane. It's the collective unconscious, the imagination of it. Thousands of millions of people all came together and just all morality and everything we learned. Aesop's fables and everything. Here it is.
Just over thousands of years, we happen to write a coherent story with 50 different authors.
And there's no basis in truth. It's just, here's some nice little morals for you to figure out.
And he has this line where he goes whatever managed to pull all this together just deserves the title of the spirit that
right.
The highest good, right? Because it's just so.
That's God definition.
Yeah. They're on the way.
Yeah.
They go to the desert of Zin. Very, very focused.
Is this a drug joke or something?
Desert of Zin, they're they keep coming back to it. It's hard to leave. Easy to get into.
Is this a Zen joke or is this something else?
This is a Zen joke.
Okay. Is that you spell Zen Z-Y-N though, don't you?
Audiobook. I couldn't tell it was spelled.
Yeah.
I had all that time to come up with Zen jokes. I didn't.
Yeah.
Make any of them.
Then we get to this is something that dates back to Pastor Peterson, the revelation of the snakes, and it's 447. It's Peterson at his best, right? What I loved about Pastor Peterson was the ability to take biblical stories that I had heard thousands of times over and give me a shocking revelation about them, something truly astounding that I never thought about. And this story, Moses and the snakes, I'd never thought anything about the story. It's just random, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm not going to second thought, but this is weird. This is a weird story. Let me delve into this. And his revelation that the story of the snakes is to cure you of your fears. It's not to have the fears removed or what makes you afraid removed. What makes you braver is to encounter what you fear voluntarily, to behold it, to face it. That's what makes you braver. And in fact, it's better to be braver than to be safe, which I really like that idea. Nice. It's better to be braver than to be safe. And then he culminates it with Christ saying, I would be raised like the serpent in the desert. And
which is it's such a crazy callback.
It's so good. It's so good. And obviously, what he says there is that it's the embodiment of who Christ is, that he takes on the greatest sin, the greatest suffering. He takes on what we most fear. And if we behold the cross, we will be braver. And that's why the cross is at the center of our lives, is at the center of our church, is at the center of our collective unconscious, our imagination, that the way forward is to embrace our cross and walk uphill with it. That's how we become better people. That's how we thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think if you put the spiritual reality aspect with that, it's pièce de résistance.
Pièce de résistance?
Pièce de résistance. Croissant.
What?
I'm French. But
what does that mean in French?
Pièce de résistance. It's like the...
Vive la résistance.
No, the pièce de résistance.
Vive la révolution.
No.
Vive
No,
la
pièce.
révolution.
Pièce.
Pièce?
Pièce.
Peace.
It's spelled peace, yeah. P-I-E-C.
A piece.
So, the pièce de résistance.
A piece of the resistance.
No.
Resistance to peace.
Okay. I don't know the
Peaceful
literal translation, it might be that. But the meaning is at the culmination, like top, best of the best.
How does that mean that?
I have no idea. It means the best of the best.
There's no way.
Okay, wait. Do you need to do a slash right here?
There's 0 chance.
Yes, pièce de résistance means the best of the best.
King of Kings, Lord of Lords. The pièce de résistance of the meal was the flaming ice cream.
Yep. It's like the pinnacle. Like the ultimate.
The piece of staying power. Huh. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But even by itself, it's still very profound that to behold the cross is to behold everything we fear, but to be made braver by it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very profound.
Yeah, it's a good one. Before we get too far away from old Peterson, there's no situation so terrible that some stupid son of a bitch cannot make it yet worse.
Yeah,
just mention that. And then he also talks about, earlier we had him talking about dragons and gold, and how there's no gold without dragons, there's no dragons without gold.
Mm-hmm.
But here he talks about eager virgins and dragons, which,
wait, what?
I don't know.
What page is this?
I don't know, audiobook, but he did talk about how, isn't it a bit strange that archetypally, I mean, it's not strange archetypally, it would be strange literally if the dragons were guarding virgins. But archetypally
Is this
makes
the
perfect sense.
incorporation of foreign women?
I don't know if he's talking about foreign hosts yet, but it's like a, and I really don't know what it says, but he makes it very clear that when you fight dragons, the women are very eager and willing.
Oh, wait a second. I remember this part. That was, you made it sound like that was a big section. That was like just a sentence.
It stuck out.
It sounds like it. Wait a second.
And it was at least a paragraph. If you have something else, we could move on.
I need to find this. This one got me crazy.
Because you remember it, right?
Yes, I do.
See, if these were text documents, we could do a control F.
Wait, this is after Son of Bitch line?
Before it.
Before it. Okay, that's the thing.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. Whatever. I don't need to find the willing version in the text. I already found plenty.
I need to find it sooner than crazy.
Top of 448. Its basic hypothesis, so to speak, the moral that it conveys, is the revolutionary confrontation with what is most frightening and repellent provides the riches that never cease.
I mean, that's a parenthesis.
Yeah. The gold hoarded by the dragon. The grateful and now willing virgins freed from the dragon's lair, and profoundly and rightly impressed by the rescuer.
So you added eager. That's interesting.
No, eager's in there somewhere. Eager's in there earlier.
Oh, that's
okay, but now willing. Okay, I guess that's a bit different than eager. No.
They're so eager. They're so eager for me. Oh,
I'm gonna keep reading until I find it here.
I think that was it. I think you put that in.
Well, it was in the spirit.
You're really eager talking about it. It's interesting.
You wanted to find it. I was fine with it.
Okay. Fair enough. Why are we talking about this? Oh yeah, because you brought it up. Okay, so are we good moving on to this? More time.
There must be another section. Alright, moving on. I never even want to talk about that.
Yeah, of course.
The desperately eager virgins clawing at you, trying to get your clothes off. Once you defeat the dragon. It's on page 449.
Oh, gosh. Alright. Anyway, then we get into Balaam and Balak. Or how do you say that?
Balaam and Balak.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Balaam and Balak.
For the record, Peterson pronounces everything wrong.
Yeah.
Everything that you can possibly pronounce wrong, he pronounces it wrong.
Yeah.
But this is right. At least that's how we pronounce it in modern English.
But it's not really that important anyway. Balaam and Balak, however you say their name.
Balaam, Balak.
Basically,
Barak.
Whichever one of them is the soothsayer is supposed to curse them. But he's like, these people
Balaam.
They're too legit. These people are way
They're
up.
the real deal.
I'm gonna bless them.
We recognize it's real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He goes,
good on you, bro. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Balak gets heated. He skips over the part where Balaam's donkey bucks him off, turns around, and starts talking to him.
That's far.
Dude.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
We just went over that a few months ago in church.
Mm. Yeah, it's great. I love to see how he interprets that one because anyway.
Even a jackass knows more than you.
Yeah, probably actually. Yeah, he makes fun of that, right? Okay, so then we get to the Midianites and they all get killed except for the virgins. And then he goes into, okay, so Dawkins says the God of the Old Testament, this is 454, is...
It's a banger line.
Yeah, OT God is just the worst thing imaginable, just terrible, awful. And Peterson says, okay, well, you're missing out.
The way he talks about God is the way toxic girls talk about their exes.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, it's like, actually...
I can't imagine someone worse.
Yeah, actually, that's insightful. I think it's almost akin to he thinks the lady protests too much. Mm-hmm. It's why are you so vehement against this God? It's almost like you're so desperate to believe he doesn't actually exist and will cast judgment on you on the day of reckoning. Right. Yeah. It's like this guy's so evil and terrible. Like whenever people talk with such bitterness about God.
Okay, you're not rational.
Exactly.
You're really emotional.
Exactly. It almost comes across as childlike too. Mm-hmm. It's vindictive to the point of absurdity. Yeah. Anyway, so he says, well, let me not address the issue and the morality bit. Let's talk about how if you have foreign women in your camp, they might destabilize your society, right? Because they're going to turn you to false gods or they're going to have different cultural mores and norms, whatever. Can't have that. Virgins, however, okay because, I don't know, why does it say they're okay?
They haven't been corrupted.
Which is weird.
I don't know why he says it, actually. But
he basically says destabilization. Can't have that. We need the society to flourish. And then he goes into it.
If the women are young enough and malleable enough, I think he can get away with it.
Yeah. He also says here is to insist uncritically and merely as a matter of blind faith that God's word must be followed, even if the commands seem cruel and unjust. He says that's too easy to rationalize that. But I think that's just sometimes the way it is. Sometimes you just have to follow God's word. I know that's tough to hear, but that's the way it is.
And we can secondarily talk about why it's just for God to say this. But ultimately, it's like it is just. We at least know that it's just.
Mhm.
Like that's not in discussion.
Right. And he talks about when it's feeling just. Basically, it's just it's part of the time sizing kind of each other, and then we have to be wary of what is foreign. Foreign also has some goods, like Jeff throws a Midianite, and he's also spitting, so he's all right.
Yeah, it's not like the Old Testament is anti-foreign.
Right. And then he says, okay, so how do we figure out when to attack, when to withdraw, when to integrate, and when to stave off? And he basically says, aim up, and you'll know. Just be the best person you can, and it'll make it here. And while that might sound simplistic, I think it has merit. Mm-hmm. It's when you're more virtuous, oftentimes moral decisions become slightly more clear than when you're entrenched in your own places.
Of course. And this is a little bit tangential, but Tarski, I don't know his first name, but Tarski, of the Banach-Tarski paradox that you've all heard
of course,
was a 20th century mathematician who came up with, and I don't know how this works, but I'm just going to take his word for it.
All right.
A formal proof that you cannot have how do you put it? You can't have like a single algorithmic method of determining truth. It's like there is no other. Like the only thing that characterizes things that are true, like the only thing that characterizes everything that's true is that they're true. There's no other. You can't look for like a telltale. Like, oh, this is what is true.
Right.
Or here it is. It's like the only way to find out what's true. Like it's different in every instance, basically. Is the sense I got from it. I could be totally misrepresenting.
No, but I think that's just
Alfred Tarski's.
I think that's true in general because nobody can define what truth is or what truth is. Nobody. It's possible. But we all know what it means. Like we all know what truth is, or at least we know what we mean when we say truth, what we're trying to mean, but no one can find it.
Yeah, it's too complex to treat as a generalization.
Yeah.
Right? You have to humbly approach it.
Yeah.
Also, he was a contemporary and friend of
KP.
KP, baby. You already know it. Popster.
Yeah. Big Poppy. Anyway.
Popalicious.
Wow.
Papa Carl.
Big Papa, yeah. My Papa. Papa.
Papa.
Popcorn Papa. Yeah.
Papa.
Carl me some. Anyway.
Carl me Papa. Oh, we're not recording.
That's not Moby Dick. That's Moby Popper. Yeah. Carl me Popper instead of Call me Richard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Moby Richard.
You also
I haven't read it. I've heard it's boring.
It's actually when it's boring, it is boring. But
it's supposed to be like that because that's what whaling is.
No, but so like the boring parts are when he will go in depth and he'll just talk about whaling, set aside the story, talk about whaling, and he has one chapter where he talks about the fins and the head and the skeleton, everything about whales in general.
Whales aren't things.
What are
they? I think they do have fins actually. They're probably called fins.
I'm like, what are these things called?
I was thinking of gills.
Oh yeah. Anyway, but when it's a story, the character of Ahab is one of the best in literature.
It's like an anime, where it's just if you just took out the fillers, it would be great. Obviously, except for anime, it's garbage.
Anime is a and don't watch it. But anyway, when it's boring, it's so boring. When it's good, it's peak literature, like really good.
And it's only like 10 hours. At times you speak at 5 hours.
We need to get you to like actually read.
I am reading. I'm reading through this right now.
Okay, so then, yeah, he talks about how, of course, when you take the deviant path, your society is going to decay and fall apart. Just like look at the Nazis, the Soviets, Maoists, etc. You get chaos, instability, terror.
We beat the Soviets by just not messing up too bad.
Yeah.
Like that's how we beat the Soviets.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the nuclear arms race and nuclear proliferation in the next chapter.
Yeah.
But
there's too much risk incorporated in it.
And that's how we're gonna the Midianites they're not just like noble savages. They're going to degrade society.
Right.
And that's how we're gonna beat China. Because China has an objectively worse system than us. We just have to outlast them.
Also too, we should be destroying China in population numbers. Because they're only having one kid, one boy.
Well, I think they got rid of it.
They did, okay, but like notice we should
officially they got rid of them.
We should have fast overtaken that a long time ago. Like
if it weren't for us being retarded. Jonah and the Eternal Universe.
Yeah. Now this one I have a few, thankfully, only a few points to touch on because it's short chapter, but also boy, in some parts you just go full repetition, just
Moby Dick.
Hammering it over and over again. Like, okay, calm down. We get it.
And by the time we've gotten to this chapter, I've heard him say everything in here 7 times.
Yes, exactly.
5 of which were on podcasts.
Yep.
2 of which were
and then the conclusion is just, summary of each chapter.
They didn't think someone would read this book this fast.
No. Right, where they'd be able to remember all of it so vividly, because it just comes up as like, wait, you just said this. But I'm guessing, they're thinking, take some time.
And the conclusion, I think it wasn't bad. Like,
no.
It was a good summary.
Good conclusion, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't want to go over it.
So Jonah, and again, God is not God. God is a sphere of conscience. Because, of course, Jonah's conscience would tell him to preach to these terrible, evil people that he would not have anything to do with if he had his brothers. And God says, "Brother me this, my guy. Go over and preach to them."
We need Druther Me This merch. Merch shop, Druther Me This.
Druther Me This, Okay, so Jonah. Jonah.
Yonah.
Jonah.
Yonah.
Yeah. As no, he doesn't. There's no way.
Pull up the audiobook. You'll never know. So I've actually never read Jonah before, and that's what struck me. When he said Jonah 1-1, and I was like, oh, that's a book of the Bible?
Yeah, it is.
Obviously, God says go to Nineveh. Jonah doesn't want to go. I've just seen the VeggieTales version of this, where they have like fish and they slap people with fish. And that's their depravity. They fish slap people. But have you seen that? Is that not a Catholic thing?
I watched VeggieTales when I was little.
Yeah.
And I remember. I remember a Samson one vaguely, but
I didn't get that one.
Yeah. So there's like a comb and it was kind of just I don't remember it at all.
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of a silly song with Larry about someone's hairbrush.
Anyways, I have zero recollection, and I didn't watch a lot of VeggieTales as a kid. It was very minimal.
You do seem like you seem like you would have been pretentious about VeggieTales. You would have been like, please just give me a Bible in Latin.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah. Anyway, so then he goes, okay, well, here's Jonah's situation. Let's compare it to Socrates, and he gives us the rendition of Socrates' situation, and it compares it to Jonah, how Socrates' conscience speaks to him. And he follows through with it, and he stands up to the mob, and he takes on the punishment, full throttle. Whereas Jonah is, he says Jonah is an everyman. He's weak, he's cowardly, and so he runs, he flees. And so then he gets onto the boat, storm happens. Oh, what's going on? Cast lots. Oh, you're the person. And then where Jonah has a little bit of redemption is. He admits that he's the one who's doing something wrong, that my God is like the most powerful God there is. Something you think about something. My God is the most powerful God there is, and I've done something wrong. Okay, cast you off. Yeah, and they feel bad about it. This is another example of like these are not Hebrews. These are like random sailors, but they're like just real quick
go like, all right, I guess Jonah's God is the true God.
Yeah.
Where we don't want to kill Jonah, but if that's what it takes, then we'll throw him overboard. We really don't want this blood on our hands. They're like the good guys in the story.
Yeah.
They make Jonah look like Jonah's like the foil character.
Yeah.
For them, or other way around. But they make Jonah look bad.
Right. You could basically sum up this chapter as evil is allowed to flourish when good men do nothing.
Yeah.
That's basically what this whole chapter is. Just he's restating that point over and over again, that when you have a calling, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. When you have a calling to it, push forward with what is good, to speak to literally in the, I think he says we need to reclaim this phrase, it's the bastardize, but speak truth to power, like actually, and I can't bring myself to say it because it sounds so gay, but I get what he's saying, that when you actually speak truth, there is real power in that, and that we're all called on to always speak the truth, no matter the mob, no matter the tyranny, no matter the evil or the threats, that the only way to flourish is to be brave enough to speak the truth. And when Jonah doesn't do that, he not only is himself worse off for it, but he also puts an end to that risk too, even though you might think it's not his responsibility.
And so Jonah seems to be like a characterization of this idea that like I'm just gonna do my thing and you can do your thing. Yes. As long as I'm not hurting you, then I'm good.
Yeah.
And clearly that's not the case. You're not a good person if you just leave other people to their own devices. Like you have a responsibility to your brothers to call them out when they're doing something wrong. And then Jordan Peterson goes on way too long talking about how like it's not actually scientifically inaccurate, or it may be scientifically inaccurate that a whale could swallow Jonah.
Yeah.
They've done analyses on this. It's like we believe in miracles in the Bible. Like, why do we care at all about the anatomy of a whale?
Yeah. And for someone who's the whole time has been avoiding the question of is God real, to talk about the reality of this whale situation seems kind of ironic.
It's so ridiculous. I remember growing up and like other Christians being like, well, no, technically it says big fish, and whales are like anatomically not fish; they're mammals. So it's like, what? Like, why?
Also,
this is so irrelevant.
Yeah, like you said, miracles. The idea that God can't just create some fish that can house Noah.
It could have been a one-off, just a completely ridiculous.
But something you said that, what did you say? You were talking about Jonah. Right before you went into the way too long about the whale, we're talking about Jonah.
How he thinks that if he just does him.
Yes, exactly. And it reminds me of a theme that's been present in this book a lot, which is, to go back to the Boaz Girmasa, that we're responsible for everybody. Mm-hmm. We're responsible for the sins of the world. And I think you could, to go back to what you were saying, we're not responsible for the sins of the world. We're responsible literally for people and their actions in the world. That when we see evil being done, we are called on to call that out. We have a responsibility to call that out. We can't just ignore and let the world go by. We actually have to. Being a good person doesn't just mean, oh yeah, I do me, you do you. Being a good person means living out what is good and to be a truly good person is to want what's good for everyone, which means you have. It's the same reason that so Ben Shapiro, he had a conversation with Matt Fradd a long time ago on his Sunday special, I think it was. And they're talking about Catholicism and Judaism. And at one point, Matt said, why don't Jews try to evangelize? Because I'm a Catholic. I believe what I believe is true. And since I believe it's true, I want everyone to know this great truth so that they can be saved. I want people to know the truth. But you don't seem to really want to evangelize me. I want you to be Catholic. You don't want me to be a Jew. Why is that? And Ben kind of gave the answer of, oh, well, not my responsibility. People will come to God as they see it. And I think there is something true that, no, when you have the fullness of truth, you're called on to bring that to other people. Because if it really is true, then, especially people who are in terrible situations, they could be damned. And you don't want that. If what you believe is actually true. That's an extreme situation. But just in general, you want to actually shed light on the truth. You don't just want to, oh yeah, I believe it's true, and then kind of just walk away from it.
Yeah, and this is part of the fulfilling of the law that Jesus brings, where he's like, I've already pulled off what you heard it said. So, but there's the letter of the law, and the letter of the law is not what God wants from you. The letter of the law just outlines, it points you in the right direction of showing you what God wants to do.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the New Testament commentaries are about how actually Jesus coming and saying you're saved through faith.
Yeah.
That's not anything new. Abraham was saved through faith.
Yeah.
You know, name whoever it is in the Old Testament. Just because they lived under the law doesn't mean they were saved by the law and their good works.
Mm-hmm.
And Jonah's a perfect example of this, where it's like he's not called to make sure the guardrail on the second story of his house is sturdy enough that whatever. Like he's called to go above and beyond, uproot his entire life, and go preach the gospel. Wait, it wasn't the gospel yet. Go
preach the truth.
The truth.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Repentance.
To call forth the Ninevites to aim upwards towards the spirit that whatever.
Right.
And then the story takes like the most comical turn, like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy style, like comedy of errors except not errors.
Yeah.
Turn where it's like all of the Ninevites just so happen to go like, you know what?
Yeah.
God is the one true God.
Yeah.
We're all gonna repent.
Yeah.
We're gonna go sackcloth and ashes.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards. Yep. And Jonah's like, no, it's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's one of the most comical scenes in the entire Bible. In my opinion.
It is.
And Jonah's
how bitter he is. He's just like he can't deal with it. It's just these people. Like how dare they? It's ironic, and it also is. I think it speaks to true forgiveness is really difficult, right? To be able to, because we want justice, and I think also what this story is also kind of an elevation of self, right? Where it's if these people are really that evil, and if they are destroyed by God, then it makes you look better, right? Because I wasn't destroyed by God. I'm a good person. But when they're forgiven like that, and they're still loved by God, it makes you think, wait a second, what am I doing wrong? I've been doing everything right, but I don't feel this love. I'm supposed to be the better person here. It's forgiveness, justice, and mercy. It's all a complex web, but I think
Jonah's not called to give justice.
Right.
He's called to give
true forgiveness is ultimately a form of humility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a sense in which, like, if the Ninevites didn't repent and they got fire and brimstone instead of sackcloth and ashes, Jonah would have been like justified. He could have been like, see God, I told you.
Yeah.
But instead, instead God's like, whatever you think is impossible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's trivial,
right?
Then he talks about parasites living on the corpses of once great powers.
Which he loves that. He loves the carcasses.
The whale carcasses. Yeah. He's been talking about whale carcasses this entire time.
Yeah.
And finally he gets to the one about the whale.
Pinocchio and Monstro and everything.
Yeah.
During, it's just the meme, during to the belly of the whale rescuing his father.
We don't even know. Why did Geppetto get into the belly of a whale?
We have no idea.
Doesn't make any sense. Why does Monstro turn into a fire-breathing whale?
Yeah, right.
Why do whales breathe fire?
Yeah.
What does that do for them?
Exactly.
Underwater.
Whales don't breathe fire.
But it just all comes together perfectly. I love that image too. It's like it's very
Vivid?
Pertinent.
Oh,
I say that. You just see it everywhere. It's like it's the story of every once great company. Really every company, because no company can survive. No founder can guarantee that their company's going to survive 20 years after they're dead. Right. Some companies get really fortunate with a great leader who didn't found the company.
Right.
But what tends to happen is that a founder has a crazy vision that just so happens to be right, and they make a ton of money off of that, and the company slowly slides down the peak that it built up for itself, coasting on its decadence, its wealth, its riches, until eventually it's this bloated corporate structure where no one has this passionate drive to keep it afloat, just collapses in on itself. and no one really gets hurt because no one's too invested in the company. Everyone's kind of, they just all get their other jobs, and the whale carcass gets abandoned, right? And in some sense, it's like, it's fine for companies to work like that because the value was created. That's not trivial. But when societies work like that, when societies become the whale carcass that is no longer being upheld, then people die. Then we get wars. We get the four horsemen of the apocalypse all come in at once.
It's the perfect description of modern day America that we cast shade on our founding fathers and the West and Christianity and white people and men, all this stuff and yet we're enjoying all the fruits of their endeavors, freedom, rights, capitalism. You complain about how evil capitalism is while you tweet on your iPhone and sip on a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right. The idea that you're living off of some of the greatest benefits the world's ever seen because of what came before you, but you've ignored what got people here in the first place. You've ignored that what gave us these rights and these freedoms in this beautiful country was Christianity, was aiming upward, was moral striving, and now that we are throwing that off, what's happening? Society's getting worse.
Yeah, and you're complaining about billionaires and how they shouldn't exist, when in reality, if the billionaires of the past 100 or so years didn't exist, America would have already collapsed by now.
Yes.
Like there's not enough value being created without like a few crazy people who just completely dedicate themselves to making everyone's life better for a society that's this like decadent to go on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to some extent the story of the parasites living on the whale is almost the entire history of the United States.
Yes.
I think we get into these cycles where we start doing it, and it just takes because we're human beings and we can solve problems. We catch ourselves. We go, I mean, this is what I was hoping would happen with Doge and this administration, where they'd be like, yep, our deficit spending is too high.
Yeah.
We need to cut back.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, but that was fine and dandy to get us into power.
Yeah.
Now that we're in power,
Yeah.
and now the Democrats are saying they want to cut the budget. It's like, sure you do.
Yeah.
Sure you do.
Right.
But sending me articles about how bad Trump is at cutting the budget, and it's like, yeah, now you're interested in deficit spending.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen.
We'll see.
Or America will collapse. There are two options.
All right, then we already talked about the growing of the plant and the signification of that. I don't know if you have anything else on that, but
it's just really weird. It's not the part of the Jonah story that people remember.
Yeah. It's actually the part of the story that I remember almost the most. Aside from obviously the most vivid is the whale, obviously, but second to that is
the fish slaps.
Second to that is the plant. It's so strange, it's so weird, but I think it makes sense. And I think he doesn't really touch on this as much. Touches more on how it's basically a creation of or extension of his pride, but his judgment over the shallowness of other human beings and nature's so perfect and beautiful. But the other aspect of that story, I think, is that everything good comes from God.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, good luck being happy when you're not right with God.
Right, exactly. Everything good comes from God, and you have no right to question. You have no right to question the mercy or forgiveness of God when He's already given you more than you deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then does the story just end there with the plant withering and Jonah wishing he were dead, and the wind blowing?
I think so.
Down on him?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah. No intrinsic interest of the planet, no environment exceeds the value of a man or woman.
Yeah, that's the line.
Yeah.
So, mutually assured destruction. Jordan Peterson talks about it like it's this horrible thing. But I feel like for my whole life, I've learned bottom of 482.
Oh, wow.
Wait, has that? Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So my whole life, I learned that basically mutually assured destruction was required to end or to deter for nuclear deterrence. And it also is responsible for the huge drop off in war and like it's the reason World War II stopped and then we didn't have another World War. It's because everyone knows that the nukes are going to go and then everyone's going to die.
Right.
But Jordan Peterson's like, this is a major atrocity, the idea of mutually assured destruction. And I can kind of see his point. So it's like, which is it? Where do you fall in the mutually assured destruction?
As far as
the morality of mutually assured destruction.
Oh,
what should America do?
So, yeah, the idea that the only reason we're not bombing our enemies is because they're going to bomb us.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, we have to tell Russia that if they send the nukes, we're going to send them back before they hit us.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're just going to send the nukes.
Yeah. It's so complicated. It goes back to, there's a line from I'm Younger Brothers. And I recently started watching some of the Avengers movies with them. And boy, when those things were popular, they were good. But it's funny how...
We're watching the modern Avengers movies?
Yeah.
The ones that are coming out today?
No, we're talking like classic.
Okay.
Like 2012
2012
to 2018.
Like James Spader as that one robot. Ultron.
Yes, Ultron. And that's exactly what I'm going to think about, what I'm going to bring up. And he has a line, he says, he has so many great lines in that movie. I forgot like it.
Yeah.
Old Marvel has some bangers. They were good in
They built up quite a whale.
Yeah, they did. And it blew up at Endgame. Like literally the names and the descriptions of the name Endgame. So we're like everything after this is garbage.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was good
Oh yeah.
It was a good pinnacle.
It was good. While it lasted, it was good. But anyway, Ultron has a line where he says, "Men of peace build engines of war." And his whole philosophy is that the Avengers are actually the real threat to humanity because they want to save the world. They don't want to change. They don't actually want there to be nothing for them to do. They want to be able to like fight the bad guy and take him down, right? Because if the world's actually really peaceful, where they fit in, they can't use any of their aggressive instincts.
They're the military-industrial complex.
Exactly. And so where I'm going with all this is that it's funny because right in a country with a military, you want to have a strong military. But when you build a stronger military, what's that going to do? Encourage other countries to make sure their military is stronger, and it keeps going up and up and up. And you might think, okay, well, let's just stop then, so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. But the risk is, okay, if we stop, other countries will be more powerful than us. And so it goes back to an idea that we're doing all this stuff because of the threat of the other country. And as far as the morality, it's so complex. I don't know, right? Because on the one hand, you don't want to be a naive pansy and just say, oh, we're going to cease constructing of tanks and engines of war and developing nuclear warfare and all that stuff because we want to have peace. And then, oh, wait, country A has all the power now, and now we're under their thumb.
French and British pacifism is what led to the rise of Hitler.
Exactly. Exactly. But you also don't want to brandish about, well, actually, that's a good question. I don't know. I think, I'll say this. I think countries obviously have the responsibility to protect their citizens. And I think as long as...
They have the right to exist, you would say? To not be genocided?
Who has the right to exist?
Just countries in general.
Yes, they do have that right. Absolutely, yeah. But you have the right to self-defense. And so I think I look at MAD as a form of self-defense, where, hey, it's like, hey...
But it's not. I mean, it's...
That's how I see it, though. Because if you try to kill my wife, I'm going to kill you. Mm-hmm. And is that just? Is that moral? I mean,
it's a deterrent, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, I'm thinking about, like, let's say you kill my wife and then I kill you. Like, I would be the character in the movie that everyone cheers for, right? Because we all love a good revenge story. How does that look in the grand moral order? I don't know. So, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I wouldn't be morally justified in killing you after you killed my wife. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Yeah. Because, like, okay, maybe if you were trying to kill my wife, and I killed you in the process of you trying to kill my wife. That's different. That's probably justifiable.
Yes,
right?
I'd say it's 100% justifiable.
But if you killed me and I was dying, I was bleeding out, and like before I died, I like managed to shoot you and kill you. That's not justifiable.
I also agree. Yeah.
Like that's pure revenge.
Yes.
It doesn't do anyone any good.
If I'm going, you're going with me.
Yes. It's Captain Ahab all over again. I think I haven't read the book.
Not quite.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, and with mutually assured destruction, when you say that if you launch your nukes, I'm gonna launch my nukes. That's a deterrent, and that is like you can call that self-defense. The projecting of the idea of mutually assured destruction, that's self-defense.
Sure.
But if you actually launch your nukes, and then I launch my nukes, that's no longer self-defense.
Yeah.
Now that's just revenge and resentment. So here's what I think about my like official moral take that I would never say in public because it would defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
You know, but there's nothing wrong with saying you do mutually assured destruction. In fact, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
But if you actually do it, you shouldn't actually do it. Like our official, unofficial, unspoken policy should be that if they launch the nukes at us, we're at least not going to launch nukes back. Maybe we'll try to shoot them out of the sky, whatever we're going to do, Golden Dome. But we shouldn't actually mutually assure destruction.
I agree with you in principle, but I'd say the slight difference is that couldn't you argue that let's say nukes launched.
Mm-hmm. Have they landed yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Couldn't you say that we're gonna fire nukes back to prevent them from firing further nukes? Are we supposed to sit here and be terminated?
The idea with mutually assured destruction is Russia has enough nukes to literally kill, wipe out the population of every city in America.
So you're saying the nukes land, everyone's dead, and there's a couple people left to decide to send the nukes back.
No. No one's left to send the nukes back.
Oh.
That's the thing with mutually assured destruction. You have to send your nukes back before their nukes land.
Gotcha. Oh, I see what you're saying. Then I agree with you, 100%. So you're saying, okay, I gotcha. The nukes are coming. We have a split second to decide, do we take them out with us or do we all die? I agree with you. We have to decide.
Yeah. Which, again, don't tell Russia who said this.
No.
Don't tell China.
Yeah.
But
also, we don't have to worry because no one in power would ever do that anyway, so.
Well, there are multiple.
Also, who cares if we're dead today? So.
Yeah, look. Yeah, there are multiple times in the Cold War where an alarm went off. Mm-hmm. It was like a misfire or something.
Yeah.
And people had intelligence saying that the nukes had been launched. There were multiple times where it's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. Yeah. Where just a few individuals had the opportunity to launch the nukes, essentially, and they decided not to, just because that's a level of catastrophe that even pretty hardened military people are I don't want that on my hands.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario, it's not. Yeah, and that happened not once, not twice, multiple times in the Cold War, where it was a single person vetoed nuking all of America.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
We're here today.
Yeah, it worked out nice.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're right about this.
I agree.
That was the last note I had.
Yeah, that's also, I think, that wraps up Noah. Thinking of these. And then conclusion is chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. And then at the very end, he gives us a little list. These are all accounts and stories of God, and other cultures have accounts and stories of God, and et cetera, et cetera. And the Gospels also have an account of God. He's the spirit and the conscience and the courage and adventure and,
the babe.
All the catchphrases. What? And
the innocent babe.
Oh, yeah. And God is the unity, the pinnacle, et cetera, et cetera. And then he does this classic, is it real? And he's like, well, let me tell you.
What do I mean by real?
Yeah. Do societies flourish? Does aiming upward make you a better person? Do you want to create a world where your bitterness and resentment creates hell on earth? Yeah, you better believe it's real. Okay, cool. So yeah, kind of ends where it started.
It's do you want human flourishing?
Yeah.
Yes, because I think that's good. Yeah. I think that's good because I have a biblical worldview. It goes the other way around.
Exactly.
We've all inherited the biblical worldview.
Yeah.
Even everyone from Sam Harris to whoever the opposite of Sam Harris would be in Western society. They're all aiming Sam Harris is aiming like very skewed up, but he still does believe that there's good people, right? And that like there's some sort of human flourishing, even though the whole like effective altruism is like it's a
no foundation.
There's no foundation for it, except for his like innate sense of morality, which he's inherited through the Western tradition. And it's like it's just a circular argument. If all you're saying is that because we believe that there's good and evil, then there must be a God. It's really the other way around.
And he's not even saying there must be a God. He's saying it.
Whatever.
He's saying because we want to flourish, we should follow the spirit that makes us aim up, and that spirit is whatever you'd like to call it. We call it God. But let's not deal with it as a person or a being or anything like that. Let's just, it's the spirit that, and we do with that. So, and by necessity, we wrestle with God, because to wrestle with God is to struggle with the push and pull between the conscience that's calling you to adventure and to avoid what's evil, but also the bitter, resentful, tyrannical spirit of it, or hedonistic spirit that just wants you to stay at home, play video games, and watch porn, and be useless and defenseless and weak. And it's those two spirits, and wrestling with them is wrestling with God, because God's spirit calls you to adventure, and it's your conscience.
Yeah. I don't know. The one thing I liked about the conclusion was that he did a high enough level pass of the Old Testament that he kind of like drew together a narrative that I hadn't necessarily seen before, and just like reading books of the Old Testament. And he also like it's an open question how much of the narrative of the Old Testament that you draw together works if it's not like also pointing towards Jesus.
Sure.
But he at least did something, and it was kind of cool.
I will say we've heard it said, but I'm not going to. It's not my thing. But we've heard it said that the Bible is a library, right? And I think he makes that a library of genres. I think he makes that idea very clear. He instantiates that idea that, cause I will say, his takes on the Old Testament is kind of like reading Aesop's Fables, where you have the story and then here's the moral. And he is amazing at figuring out the morals and the meanings and drawing conclusions and distinctions. It's very insightful, like genuinely. And some of the things he's able to point out, for me at least, it's kind of similar to people say that science should make you atheist. But for me, science makes me believe even more strongly in God, because it's so complicated, so complex, so intricate. Same thing here. This whole book reaffirms my belief in God and the spiritual reality of the Bible, because there are so many truths here, so many things. You don't have to focus on just the literal. There's so many things you can find out apart from the literal that are truly fruitful and insightful. So in that respect, good stuff. It's just at the end of the day, if we're not actually dealing with the person of God, this stuff kind of all is meaningless then. It's cool to say aim up, it's cool to clean your room, it's all good.
And then you die and nothing matters.
Right, exactly. Yeah. At the end of the day, what matters here is loving the person of God, not just aiming up. So it is, at the end of the day, that is vague and foundationless. We know what it means, but without the actual anchor of the person of God, it means something.
Yeah. And then to finish it off, he teases that this is kind of like this is his like synthesis of the Old Testament, and he teases his next coming book, the New Testament synthesis, which is We Who. So this is WWWWG.
Yeah.
The next one's going to be What Would Jesus Do? WWJD.
Or We Who Wonder What Jesus Would Do.
That would be banger.
Yeah.
We Who Wonder. We Who. What would We Who?
What would We Who Wonder What Jesus Would Do would wonder it?
Yeah.
So
last words. Deus Renatus Est.
God is reborn.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he was. That was accurate.
Well,
not yet.
He never was reborn. He was born. He wasn't reborn.
What do you mean he was born?
He was born of a Virgin Mary.
Well, he was reborn, like that. He was baptized by John the Baptist.
Oh yeah, good point.
Reborn. He's also resurrected from the dead. That could be called rebirth.
Boom, I agree with that one. Yeah.
But really, this is so Renatus Est is a Renatus is a perfect.
Yes, God has been reborn.
Or really, a valid translation would be God is having been reborn, and it's an interesting callback to God the Father never begot God the Son.
Yeah.
But God, Jesus, is having been begotten by God the Father. That's the definition of their relationship.
Because he does, the person, the man Jesus exists in time.
Mm-hmm.
Is what we think about.
But even out of time, in the beginning was the Word.
Yeah.
Right. So Jesus, the Son, mm-hmm. the aspect of the Godhead, mm-hmm. always existed as having been begotten by the Father, right?
Yes, it's
comprehensible.
Yeah, it's a mind twister. But all right, as we always do, rating out of 10.
Dude, I forgot we did the ratings out of 10. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, but
you rate books.
Dude, you should get Goodreads actually.
You rate books online?
Just for my friends. Dude, you rate books in person.
Yeah, because I'm not.
I don't rate books online for the random people who are I don't. Dude, the cringy thing about Goodreads is the people who will write their reviews like it's a social media post. Well,
that's on.
They'll really get into it. They'll go they'll have just paragraphs and paragraphs very clearly they had an editor who went through their review before they posted it. They're upvote farming on Goodreads. What are we doing with our lives?
That's bad.
They're way too poetic in their reviews. It's come on. But yeah, I just.
So 4 out of 5 stars, so 8 out of 10.
Well, that's the thing. 4 out of 5 stars. That's a more coarse grained analysis.
Oh.
The thing is, I think we point out a lot how much Jordan Peterson's wrong about when reading the book.
Right.
But I think that all the negative press we give it shouldn't be confused with the fact that overall just the fact that this is a book where we can pull a few threads going through it that are just clearly completely wrong. Mm-hmm. But the entire book as a whole, I probably would give it an 8 out of 10. To be honest, I thought it was good. Yeah. What about you?
I think 6.
6?
6 out of 10. Yeah. just because I think
too many of the spirit hats.
Yeah. Way too many of the spirit hats.
I agree.
But I think really good. But
a 6.
But I can't get past it's a couple things. One, I miss old Peterson. He'll always be he'll always be remembered.
Yeah, and you'll never see his like again.
Yeah, and I don't know.
It just reminded me of the old Peterson too much. It just hurts to.
Yeah, a little bit of that, but also I think a lot of he has some great lines and some great insights, but maybe it's probably because I don't know what the reason is, but a lot of what he said just didn't hit the same as it used to. It was kind of cool.
Sure.
And I still think it's good this book is out here. It's probably gonna help a lot of people, and I'm glad he wrote it. But I'd like him to be. This is an ambitious project, but when he was first talking about writing this, I was envisioning something insane.
Yeah.
It came off. I felt like this should have been more ambitious, and the way to make it more ambitious is to actually for Peterson to wrestle with God, the person of God, instead of just because what it came down to was everything I talked about in podcasts for the Old Testament synthesized in the book.
Yeah.
And that's cool. It's nice, great insights, but I was hoping for something extending beyond podcast Peterson.
It's almost
a real book.
It's almost too commercial.
Yes.
Where it's very digestible. I don't know if you've read Maps of Meaning.
I haven't.
It's to be wrestled with.
Sure.
It's genuinely difficult to piece out, and it's also, I don't think it's poorly written.
Yeah.
It's just the ideas he's putting together are crazy. He's tying in I have it like mapped out on my phone. I think actually, now that I think about it.
Maps the meeting on my milestone.
Yeah. But like he's tying in like a. I don't think it's in my phone actually. I read it before I had this app. Yeah, it's not here.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's tying in like alchemy with the Enuma Elish.
Sure.
And like all of these different things.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful web that's like messy,
Yeah.
but clearly profound.
Yeah.
And this was just very almost too fleshed out.
Yeah.
Where it was like, yeah. I still think there were like maybe 5 or 6 like really profound things that I picked out of the book that genuinely changed how I think.
Fair enough.
So.
And yeah, Cain and Abel chapter was a certified banger. That was great stuff. And yeah, no, and also, this is a small point, but it's also like not that small. Repetition is a big thing too. Like you can kind of hammer something home too much because okay, I get what you're saying, and it almost becomes less meaningful.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of his chapters could have been condensed into way less pages.
Yeah, but this book could have been shorter.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Anyway, glad we read it.
Me too.
I do not think it was a waste of time at all. It was good stuff, and I got some stuff from it, so.
Yeah. Now, we have to decide what book to read next.
We do.
But first, a word from our sponsors, Goodreads.
Yes, sir. Goodreads
is an app that lets you connect with your friends about what books you're reading. You should get it, Max.
I will not.
Let's look at what books I have on Goodreads. Man, this is all sci-fi. This is tough. The hard thing about hard things.
It's hard.
But what's hard about them?
Their hardness? I don't know. Liquidity?
Liquidity?
No, the quiddity. What's the quiddity? What's the quiddity of the hardness?
No. What?
You don't know quiddity?
You made that up.
No.
Quiddity.
Quiddity. It's the what it isness of a thing.
Oh, quid.
Yeah, quiddity. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Hey, talk to my boy Aristotle.
That's quixotic.
No, it's not. It's actually quite clever. And don't quarrel with me on this because I have plenty of quips without any qualms.
Take your queer questions and quit yourself.
Oh man. At least we're not in a quandary. And
I have qualms with this.
You can't be quizzical about it though.
I can be quite quizzical.
Quite quizzical? You can't quantify
that.
Nor should you. Can't be quantified. It's not quantifiable.
You don't even know quantum mechanics, Max.
I did a presentation on
keep your quandaries away.
That was actually quite good.
I've been quarrying that that's the quantum mechanics, Max. You've been lying quiescent.
Hey, we don't have a quorum to adjudicate that, so.
Alright, Max, keep eating your quail over there with you. Keep lusting after your quail. I'll be quintented over here on my quincentennial.
Quincentennial.
I'll be having quadruplets.
Sleeping on the. Whoa. I like to have quintuplets, actually. With your mom, not mine. It's why you sleep on the quintessential quilt. Yeah.
You've been practicing. Man, you're like the queen of beds. Slay.
It's a good thing that I've almost quaffed my water. Not completely though.
That's a K.
No, it's actually Q. Q-U-A-F-F-E-D. But usually it refers to alcohol.
Yeah.
So, but I have more cloves in my liver.
It's a real quaint usage of the word.
But I'm not queasy about it, so.
Well, I'll quicken your queasiness.
Quicken.
Post haste.
Yeah. Quid pro quo.
We started with quid. Quid was the first one.
Yeah, sure. Quiddity. Yeah, quiddity. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to quell this whole discussion. Well, this Fun facts and smiles. I'm
Max.
Miles.
Oh, I'm Max.
I'm Miles.
And I'm Max.
And we'll be right back.